We're back. It's the Dedrique Taylor Coaches Show, hosted by yours truly, Brandon Marcus, alongside head coach of Cal State Fullerton, Dedrique Taylor, fresh off another 2 games. And boy, was it a circus to make it happen. Stay tuned because this podcast is going to be a good one. We're going to go behind the scenes and tell you what exactly happened to make these 2 games against CSUN happen. But first, Coach, what's up, man?
Not much, whole lot. Just trying to stay afloat and trying to figure this thing out because it is wild and wacky, as we'll get into. But it's crazy nonetheless. We played Northridge obviously this weekend and split with them, and so it was good for 2 reasons: to play the game and then obviously won one. So that's good.
And it wasn't even a Friday, Saturday. It was a Saturday, Sunday. And we'll start with this. I mean, by the way, before we get to the actual podcast itself, remember, you can always follow us at the Detailer Coaches Show at gmail.com is where you can reach us with the Gmail stuff. You can look us up on YouTube, Facebook, Twitter. We're all over the place, okay? So make sure you hit us up. Coach is on Twitter. I'm on Twitter. We got this posted everywhere. So if you can rate and review the podcast as well on Apple Podcasts, it'd be great. We're all over the place, wherever you want to listen. If you're watching on YouTube, give us a thumbs up, subscribe. It always helps the podcast grow. And of course, we're looking for more sponsors. We're looking for any sponsor here. So Detailer Coaches Show at gmail.com. Hit us up and we'll talk some business. But first, Coach, you got 2 games in. I texted you because I was supposed to broadcast the UC Irvine women's team against Long Beach State. And when I was about to leave the office, I got a text from our coach that said the game's canceled. And so it was about 10 minutes before I was supposed to head off to Irvine. And then about 10 minutes later, I found out that the men's side of Long Beach State was canceled and they were supposed to take on CSUN. So I texted you. I'm like, hey, did you ever figure out who you're going to play? Because you and I were talking. You said, hey, I'll let you know whenever we figure out who we're going to play. And you said, it is the damnedest thing. We had a game that was set to be played. That got canceled. And then all of a sudden this game popped up. Take me through what that week was, what that week looked like. Start with the beginning of the week before we even get to CSUN and the teams you were going to play, what it was like, how that process went.
It was wacky, to say the least. Like if you looked up wacky in the dictionary, I think you'd find Cal State Fullerton scheduling, because it was just that. It was wacky. We did not know who we were going to play. Obviously, we weren't playing Davis, and we started the week before that. I think we were trying to schedule Irvine and working with their people to try to get that done, play them on a Friday, Saturday, because we both were available. But our league said that the games wouldn't count. Eventually, they may or may not count, and so that just kind of threw us into a tailspin. So that didn't work out to benefit us, and so we were looking at possibly playing Arizona. Arizona called and said, "Hey, we understand your games got canceled. Would you guys be interested in playing on a Monday?" And we were like, "Yeah, we want to play Monday." So we were going to drive to Arizona to play, and then drive back to California. So 14 hours to play a 2.5-hour game. Obviously a daunting task in itself, but we were going to do that just for the simple fact of we didn't want to sit idle with the weekend available and us healthy. We wanted to find somebody. So we had our mindset on playing Arizona as of Thursday. And so we were working through all the details, the contracts and stuff. And so Friday, in the middle of practice, Arizona called and said, "Hey, Pac-12 is saying we got to play Arizona State, and so that's going to throw a monkey wrench in our schedule and not allow us to play." And so we go from possibly playing Arizona, or our schedule was set. We were playing Arizona. This is the deal. We're going to play Arizona, play them Monday, come back Monday night, get ready for this week, Monday, Friday, and Saturday playing against Hawaii. But that obviously got through into the blender, and so after practice, I was obviously frustrated and upset, and I didn't tell our team, so they didn't know any of this was going on. And sitting in the office, just kind of trying to figure this thing out, and lo and behold, Mark Godfrey called and said, "Hey, coach, you want to play?" I said, "What?" He said, "Yeah, we just got off the phone with Long Beach State. 2 of their players or 3 of their players, I don't know, somebody tested positive, so it shut that series down. Them playing Friday, Saturday, and this is Friday before they were scheduled to play them on that Friday."
Yeah, it was, I think, 3 or 4 hours before tip.
Yeah. So we were having a conversation and we were trying to figure out, hey, can we play Friday night? Or should we just play Saturday, Sunday? And so that we went down that road and started talking to our administration. Our administration started talking to each other. And so lo and behold, we got 2 games scheduled against Northridge, and we played Saturday, Sunday. And that's kind of a behind the scenes look of how it went down. We had no idea we were going to play who we were going to play until we were scheduled to tip it off on Saturday against Northridge.
Let me ask you this. If Arizona didn't cancel, would you have canceled on them, do you think, to play those two games against CSUN?
Probably would have had to cancel on them because it would have made more sense to get 2 for 1.
Mhm.
Plus, CSUN came to our place. Plus, our league kind of blessed the situation because they changed the ruling, allowing us to make up games. So, because Northridge and us were scheduled to play, and we suffered the COVID from the
Mhm.
COVID, that series was canceled. But now we're both available and we're both healthy, so allowing us to make that up, and that we probably would have in the long run canceled on Monday against Arizona. So it's probably good that they canceled against us first.
And you were supposed to play CSUN December 27th and 28th. It was supposed to be that opening series.
Yeah.
And you guys obviously were still in quarantine before you took on Santa Barbara that day that you got out of quarantine on January 1st and January 2nd. So now, oddly enough, you guys are almost all caught up except for that UC Davis series. And you and I have talked about this, and I'm not sure UC Davis plays at all this season. So if you take them out of the picture, you've now played series against CSUN, Santa Barbara, and Long Beach State. And so you've gotten 3 series in, you've gotten 6 games in conference, which is pretty good, all things considered. And now you're supposed to play against Hawaii and then against Cal State Bakersfield and then UC Riverside, Cal Poly, UC Irvine. So you're supposed to play now, I believe it's 5 straight weekends
Yeah.
where hopefully things go according to plan, but they're probably not going to go according to plan. But all things considered, with how bad it was before, you got to be pretty pleased with where you're at right now.
Yeah, we're excited just to be playing games,
Yeah.
and I think the opportunity to try to get better. And the only way you get better is you have some data and some feedback. And I think every weekend that we play and every opportunity that we play, we're on the floor and we get that, good, bad, right, wrong, or different. We get the information or the feedback, and we try to work through that. And I think that's what we're going through now. Obviously, we would do all of this stuff, preseason if things were normal, but obviously, as you know, and I know, they're abnormal. So every time we get an opportunity, we're thankful for the opportunity, and then we take advantage of it by playing the game, and then obviously learning what we can and trying to get our team better incrementally, day by day, trying to get better and trying to show them what we need to get better at, and then how we're going to get better at it. And then if we do, we can expect this end result. And I think that plays into part against Northridge. I think Northridge came into this weekend, and their offense was was potent to say the least. I think they were really, really fresh and ready to rock and roll, and we took the took the brunt end of that, and gave ourselves a chance in that game. It being a 1 point game, but I think our guys didn't play as hard as we would have liked them to play Friday night or Saturday night, and we were able to provide some data to show why we didn't play hard and what we could do if we played hard. And that's where we started with on Saturday night, and preparing for Sunday's opportunity. Is I thought our guys came out and they played hard, and obviously we had some individual performances and some guys do some things that they hadn't done before, season high meaning. But I thought our group as a whole, we all played really, really hard, and hopefully that lesson is learned that if we play hard, then we can get to the X's and O's and we can expect a good result. But if we don't play hard, it's going to be a long night.
Yeah. And we'll get into both games in just a second because we definitely have to touch on both of those and how you guys played. And obviously, you mentioned some individual performances, and there certainly was, especially yesterday. Um, the refs, was that something where they were already in place for the Long Beach State series and it was the same ones, or did something have to get changed because Friday, Saturday is different than Saturday, Sunday?
Yeah, I don't know if those were the refs that were going to do the Long Beach State series or not. That was mentioned as a part of the conversation trying to get the game scheduled, and that was the last straw, kind of to put in place. And I don't know where those refs came from. I'm just glad that we were able to secure them, and we had to go through the Big West and the assigner and so on and so forth. But that was kind of like I said, the last thing that we had to get done, and we were able to get it done, and we're grateful that again, that we got the opportunities. I don't think people realize how hard it is to get these opportunities and how significant it is to be on the floor with your group and playing. And me as a coach, as far as listening to myself a little bit, knowing, that we've got 6 games in. Now, obviously, they all count towards league and they all are what they are. But I think in a large part, I mean, we're playing, trying to get familiar with each other,
Mhm.
trying to learn about our group and trying to learn about each other, what each other does, how each other does it, and then schematically as a whole team, what's important to us, what's not important to us, rebounding, free throw shooting, those things. I mean, things that you would normally learn or have an idea, in the preseason, we're learning them in conference, and it is what it is. I mean, I'm not making an excuse for us. We have to learn these things sooner than later. But our group picked up and played much better on Sunday against, in my opinion, a very, very poised offensively or Northridge team.
Okay, let's get into the games because you're touching on it. So let's get into it. You lose the first game 86-85. You win the next one 85-77. So a lot of points that are scored. You mentioned high scoring on that CSUN side. You lose by one. I know when you lose by just 1 point, you kick yourself, and it's a hard time trying to fall asleep at night because there's one play, one free throw. I mean, it's one of anything could switch the game around. Was there that one moment you feel, or was it just a combination of different things that you guys weren't able to close it out?
I felt like there was a combination of things. Obviously, you can point to one or two or three different things, that you think had an impact on, allowing you to lose the game by 1 point and 1 point only. But, going into game, I just didn't feel like we played hard, and I didn't feel like we understood the significance of playing hard and what that would allow us to do. For instance, Herrick is a guy that he can really shoot the ball, and he shoots the ball exceptionally well. And that was one of our keys, is that we didn't want to give them as a team more
Mhm,
than 10 3-pointers. Well, he had 7 3-pointers by himself, 7 made. So
mhm,
you can't expect yourself to win a game. I don't think we were as effective at the free throw line as we normally would like to be. I don't think we rebounded the way that we know we need to rebound to give ourselves a chance to win the game. I thought our guards let a lot of stuff off the hook from a defensive side, and offensively, the next day, preparing after we lost, preparing for Sunday night's game, we didn't do anything offensively. I mean, you score 85 points a game. I think in league right now, we're averaging 77 points a game. So
mhm,
that's not averaging that many. I don't know if that might be the most amount of points that we've averaged since I've been here.
mhm.
77 points a game, and to score 85 points the night before, that's not your problem. My problem and our problem, I thought, was is that we waited until the last 6 or 7 minutes to play as hard as we could to give ourselves a chance to get back in the game. And my point was, is if we could do that for 30 minutes, 40 minutes, we can expect good things to happen. And then it becomes, a schematic and a concept game. But before we get to that, you have to at least bring energy and effort. And I felt like our team didn't do that Friday until the latter part of the game. And when they did, good things happen. It was a 1 point game, and we gave ourselves a chance to win. A couple free throws here and there down the stretch, and a couple of loose balls. I thought if they had gone the other way, we probably would be talking a sweep, but we're not. We're talking about reality of learning about our team. We got to be able to tough enough to step to the free throw line and make free throws. We got to come up with those loose balls and create opportunities for us to get stops and that lead to scoring. And those are things that we have to learn. And I keep saying it, but those obviously I'm saying it to you guys, but I'm saying it probably more to myself, that those are things that we got to learn and things that we have to practice. And the hard part is I talk a lot about rhythm, getting into a rhythm, and understanding what or how important a rhythm is, and doing those things. Like rebounding cannot be a forced, it's got to be an opportunity for us to count. That's the way we'll win games if we rebound. You look at some of the leagues, the other leagues around the country, and you look at their team, like Baylor's playing Kansas right now, and I guarantee you on both their boards, rebounding is a critical part of winning, because it's something that it travels. No matter whether you're at home or away, it's an important factor. Free throw attempts, getting to the free throw line, that is important for our ball club, and understanding how we do those things. So we're still learning and we're still trying to figure these things out. And again, I'm not making excuses. I'm just pointing out how we need to get better.
Right. And I'm curious if your tone would be different if you guys would have won that game as opposed to losing by one, if you would have been as upset and annoyed with certain things and the energy not being there. Do you think you still would have felt the same way if you would have won by one instead of lost by one?
I probably would feel the same way, but I wouldn't like if I was I was upset. I was really upset.
Of course.
If I'm upset and let's say it's a 10 out of a 10, I
Mhm.
probably still would have been like an 8 out of a 10. But I've said this before. Um, I'd rather learn those lessons winning
Mhm.
than learn those lessons losing. And those lessons are things that we already know. If we don't play hard, we don't give ourselves a chance.
Yeah.
Like the Lakers are playing somebody tonight. I forget who they play, but the Lakers are their coaching staff and their coaches are talking about like if we don't play hard, it doesn't matter who we play. If we don't give ourselves what we know we're capable of, it doesn't matter. And so the other thing that I've learned about myself is that I am a it's not about winning, but it also is about winning the right way. It's really, really important. And so I've learned that about myself that like winning is crucial, it's important, but also it's like winning the right way. It's like an artist. If an artist paints a picture and they everybody else thinks it's cool and it's great, but an artist might not have done things right or specific to the artist, and only the artist knows whether it's good or not good. So, as an artist or a perfectionist, so to speak, not knowing that we're striving for perfection, we're never going to hit perfection, but the progress that we make towards that progression leads to the way that we do things. And so I learned that about myself probably in the last three. I've known that, but I probably finally acknowledged that I'm concerned about how we win, probably more than anything.
Good. So now you're making it even harder for yourself because
Yeah,
now not only is a win not good enough, but you got to win the right way and
why
make
not?
it a good enough of a win.
Why not? Why not? Why not up the ante and make it harder? That's too easy. Make it harder on yourself, man. Obviously, we're a friend of mine who's a head coach. We had this conversation probably sometime last year, and we both were kind of going through it a little bit. And the realization is that like everybody else is excited about winning
Yeah.
and super super like, hey, you won, blah blah blah, and it's like a relief. People ask you all the time, hey, aren't you excited that you won? Yeah, great, cool. But it's more of a relief. It's a relief that we won. We did what we were supposed to win. But now my sight is set on how we won. And then can we win the next one and the next one? And so it becomes a vicious cycle, so to speak, in terms of being able to win and win the right way and do all of those things. And that's I know I want to say that's the coach in me, but I think that's just who I am.
Well, it's more of a big picture than a game to game thing. Because sure, you can keep winning each single every night, but then if you're not winning the right way and you're not learning, you're not making strides, then it won't matter when it actually does matter
No
in
doubt.
the postseason. So I'm assuming that's where you're going with that. So
Yeah.
that's fair.
Yeah.
I mean, it's understandable. You made a lineup change in your game. Why?
Energy and effort. We need to start. I think we talked the last time of how we were not getting off to good starts, and historically we weren't. And so we made a point of emphasis of trying to do better in that area. I think Saturday night we got off to a slow start and a sluggish start, and I would say we didn't get off to a sluggish start, but it wasn't. I think I called a timeout, or it might have been a media timeout, and I looked up and it was 9-15. So we're not scoring at the rate I think we're capable of, but and it puts so much pressure on your defense. If you don't score easy baskets or score, period, it puts so much pressure to be perfect on your defense. And so you feel that, and that's the game within the game. But the lineup change is very, very simple. It's about energy and it's about effort. And it's like who can we count on? Who does those things for us? And right now, Torrey San Antonio does those things. I mean, if you look at what he did Friday, his energy and effort, I mean, allowed him to have 21 points.
Hmm.
And I think the same thing being said for Landis Spivey. his energy and his effort and his attention to detail. He knows those two guys, they know what they are. They're energy guys. They are going to produce because of their activity. And they've shown that. And I feel like we need to reward that. If that's something that we're going to gauge how we're getting better, how we're improving, we need to reward what it is that we say is important. And I think Torrey being in the starting lineup is a reward, so to speak, for that. But it is also a huge benefit for our program moving forward because we need that. We need to know that. And then not only that, I think his teammates are they're seeing that, but they're counting on Torrey to do those things. And so that's the one way we can lead each other to accountability. When Torrey's not doing that, we can say, hey, Torrey, you're not doing that. But we also can say, hey, Torrey is doing this. Why aren't you guys doing what he's doing? And so that's the one way we lead to accountability from that standpoint. The saying is hold everybody to accountable, and we don't necessarily want to hold you to anything. We want to lead you to it, and I don't say that without stealing that from a friend of mine that's in that space. His name is Jason Wells. Um, really good at what he does in terms of a mindfulness coach, and that's one of his deals is leading people to accountability.
And then, I mean, you look at game two and you weren't really happy with the way you guys started in game one, but you decided to stick with the same five. For what reason?
I just thought the same five, it wasn't that big or that dramatic of a difference whether we juggled the lineup at that point.
Okay.
Putting Tory in there was a big difference. But again, I thought it wasn't that big of a difference. And now it's a matter of just trying to stay or trying to get some type of routine so we know what to expect. And that's one of those ways in winning the right way, so to speak, of you want to get off to a good start, or do you acknowledge the fact that hey, we're a slow starting team. It is what it is, and just acknowledge that and just ride the wave, so to speak, and knowing that our group is going to come at some point. That's not the perfect way. That's probably not the way you want to write up any script. But it may be who we are, and I think that's an important factor of realizing and recognizing who we are, but also not being an active participant to get off to a better start. That has to be at the forefront of your mind, but eventually getting yourself going and trying to be who you are, which is being better every single day.
I didn't look it up, but I want to say that you guys have outscored your opponent or tied your opponent in every single second half so far this season. I mean, it sure seems that way.
Yeah, no, it's crazy. I think in the first half, our opponents outscore us, and then the second half, we like for instance, I forget what game it was. It might have been a Long Beach game. I think in one half we scored 51 points
Hmm.
in one half. Just think about that. There are teams that average 64 points or 55 points. I mean, we scored that in a half. And so again, I think it's a credit to our guys from an offensive standpoint that they can score. And there's no secret about that. But your hat has to be hung on defense. Can you stop somebody? Because it does you no good, in my opinion, if you score 51 points, but you give up equally the same amount or more, you just trading baskets at that point, and I think you're leaving a lot to chance when you do that.
And you scored 54 in the first game against CSUN. I
There
mean,
you
you
go.
scored 50. So you guys are scoring points. I mean,
Yeah, there you
it's
go.
just about not getting off to a poor start. And I mean, Vincent, man, I mean, 10 of 13 last night, 25 points, 11 rebounds. That's a big man performance right there.
Yeah. What you can't say anything but good things about what he's doing in terms of finding his rhythm and finding his routine as far as what he does on for our ball club. Like his mindset is one of a rebounding mindset. Like he really believes that he should have every rebound, and so I think his play emulates that. And his ability to score, I think he can score more than 25 points and should score more than 25 points because he can, we got to do a better job of getting him the ball in those scoring opportunities. But right now, he provides us with a mismatch, so to speak. Him around the basket. I mean, he's quick, he's athletic, he's big and physical. 25 points for him around the basket is huge, and I think it's something for us to look forward to doing in the coming soon.
So now you've got Hawaii coming up. And is it interesting? I mean, I guess it's interesting on my end to hear. Are you preparing for Hawaii or are you preparing yourselves to be Cal State Fullerton in the next couple days?
We obviously will be familiar with Hawaii. We're preparing for Hawaii, but I think more importantly, we're preparing for Hawaii with the way that we think we need to beat them. And a lot of that entails the things that we can do, not beating ourselves. For instance, I was on our staff and on our players, like the last 4 or 5 games, I can vividly remember us stepping out of bounds, creating turnovers unnecessarily. And I've made a huge point, like a huge point. I've walked around with our team and I've said this white line around the floor, and I've walked them all around. I said, I don't know about previous years, but this year, when we do play, it is out of bounds. But clearly they didn't listen and they still stepped out of bounds. So they don't give a crap what I have to say. But
I wish I was there for
I think a
that.
lot of people wish they were there for that. It's true though. Like we can't beat ourselves. You can't do those types of things if you want to become a good team and as good of a team as you can be. If you don't hurt yourself, the thing I respect about Hawaii, the thing I respect about Irvine and even Davis, even though they haven't played, but over the course of the years, is that they very rarely beat themselves. They are always positive positive assist to turnover ratio. They out rebound you. They take quality shots. They do things that lead to success more than they do not do that. And so if we can become that team, focusing on us and focusing on what's important to us, for instance, like playing hard, turning the ball over, leading the conference in free throw attempts. But I think with this group, because we have the ability to shoot it so well, not only leading the conference in free throw attempts, but leading the conference in free throw percentage also is something that is important to our ball club and their success and our success moving forward.
I want to circle back to the start of the podcast before we get to the mailbox, and that's Arizona and
Yeah.
the fact that you almost played against Arizona. How did that come to be where you guys were slated to play against them?
It's funny, like these, it came to be because of these
Hmm.
cell phones. Honestly, I mean, obviously I've worked as an assistant. I was at Arizona State, but we're all familiar with each other and we know what we're under. And so literally there's somebody probably on every staff, every basketball staff, men's and women's, like looking to see who locally, regionally, who can we drive to, what's the safest way to get to them, and they possibly are losing a game, and so everybody is on speed dial, so to speak, and Arizona lost a game. They were supposed to play Oregon State or Oregon, I think. They were supposed to play Oregon on Saturday. Well, Oregon shut down. Well, they got that date available. They want to take advantage of playing. Who around can we play? And Arizona's probably looking at who can we beat up on.
Hmm.
That's just a part of
Of
trying to
course.
schedule a win and schedule it the right way. And you do two things with that: is you get a win towards, or a game, a Division I game towards the 13, and then you also, you're getting some data, providing some data with a team that is trying to prepare to beat you. And so literally all of us are on speed dial. Santa Clara, I mean Pacific, you name it. Everybody from every conference on the West Coast is on speed dial, and we're just talking to each other. Hey, they're, even though we're scheduled to play Hawaii, we have to have a plan B and a plan C. You
Do you
have
have that in place already?
I wouldn't say it's in place, but it's on our mind. It's
Okay.
definitely on our mind because again, anything could happen. And that's the one thing that I shared with our coaching staff, our athletic department. Like, we're preparing to play Hawaii, but Friday at 12 o'clock, the game could be canceled.
Yeah.
And we could have to pivot in a different direction and have another opponent, as we saw this past weekend. And it's just, that's the way. Like, don't get mad. You can be frustrated, but you don't have a lot of time to be frustrated. You got to get ready and get your team ready, because you being frustrated and kicking the can, that doesn't help them. And that's honestly what I was telling Mark Gottfried. I'm sitting here at my computer, like going through scheduling, and I'm upset. I'm kicking the can. And then he calls and we have a conversation, and next thing you know, we got a game schedule. So you have to be ready to pivot. I think that's the one thing that we've understood, and we've shown that we need to be ready.
It's a bunch of sharks in the water. It's like all of a sudden they got sharks that are circling that don't have games. And
Yeah.
then all of a sudden you got a fish that drops in and they all try and attack. It's just like a game that gets canceled. Once you see on Twitter, like Oregon basketball has been shut down, you got all the sharks going, "Boom,"
Yep.
going after them.
Literally is that way. I mean, it's crazy because you have some teams that aren't even in their own county, like San Jose State,
Mhm.
Mexico State. I think New Mexico. They're all in a different place. Like I think San Jose State and maybe New Mexico, they're in Arizona. University of New Mexico is in Lubbock, Texas. I mean, it's crazy that teams are not even in their own county, don't even play at their own home, and they're still playing games. I mean, it's insane to say the least.
Yeah, it's crazy. And that's nuts that you guys have like basically a plan B, plan C in the back of your mind. You're like, all right, we know who we're going to call
No
if we
question.
find out Hawaii can't play. Like we have to be prepared just in case. It's like it's
Yeah,
just you're prepared for them to come out in man to man. But in the back of your mind, if they go zone,
yeah,
we know what we're gonna do.
no doubt, no doubt.
Uh,
I think there's a saying out there that says, uh, "Failure to plan is planning to fail."
mhm.
And that is there's this season is that this it doesn't get any more true than that.
Yeah, that's crazy. All right, let's go to the mailbag.
Yeah,
Let's hit
number
up our
10.
friend. Yep, Patrick. Patrick. No Tim Vincent this week.
Oh, that's unbelievable.
Yeah, I know. Slacking over there. We got Patrick
Come
that
on,
says
Tim.
he says, Coach Taylor, what has it been like playing without fans in the arena, both at home and away? How much advantage do you think it has been for road teams this season?
I think it's been a huge advantage because there's no noise, no environment. There's nothing that you have to deal with. I mean, you can't even. And I've warned our team, and probably I need to warn myself. But like, if you say something to anybody that's derogatory or negative to the refs, everybody hears it. So
Mhm.
you cannot. I mean, you can, but you look like a butthole raising your voice, or it really stands out. Whereas if there's a crowd or there's some type of environment, they can't see or hear everything. They can probably see you, but they can't hear you. And so, I think each team has played enough games to where the weird and awkwardness is out of the arena. And I'll tell you where it really gets weird is like after the national anthem at our home games, we play "Lift Every Voice and Sing." And so right after that, there's like nobody moved. We don't know what to do. Nobody does anything. There's no clapping, no nothing. And eventually they turn some other music on and we just get right to the next thing. So, it's a little bit odd and a little bit weird, but I think the important thing is that everybody is there to do a job, and their job is to win the game. And you want to focus on that and allow that to be what drives you the most, and being production driven, and not allow the distraction of not having fans, the normalcy of things that can be a distraction.
Yeah, that makes sense. You brought it up, so I'll ask you about the song that's played before you guys actually hit the floor. What's the importance of that for you?
For me personally, it's emotional. Like I know they're playing the song, I know the words to the song, I know the song that they're gonna play, but I find myself getting emotional because for me personally, I think about some of the things that we've been through and some of the things that our culture has endured over the course of time. But if you just reflect back over the last 9 or 10 months, the last 9 days, you can't help but to think about how severe those situations are and what they have and how they have impacted people's lives. I mean, what we've seen with our own eyes is nothing short of crazy. To even think, that we had a group of people to burglarize and break into the Capitol building, and the immediate thought that comes to mind is like, I wouldn't even think that that's possible, let alone do that. I mean, do you realize what would happen to anyone that looked like me, a black person? They wouldn't be here. And so in that moment in time, I think about those things. And then I think about our team and I think about, does it have the same impact? And do the other team, do their players and their coaching staff, do they reflect on, um, what we've been through, what we've seen, let alone our moms and our grandparents and our great grandparents, what they've experienced and endured. And so in that moment, for me, it's just it's an emotional time that we get to honor them, but also reflect on what has happened, and then try and gather my thoughts to be productive in the space that we're given. And so that's what it means to me. Um, Applaud our university, applaud our marketing department for standing behind it and making it happen. I would assume it's not a mandate yet from the NABC, but it's something that they recommended. And I would say we're probably one, if not the only one, school that is doing that at this point.
How often did you hear it growing up?
Um, in our culture, it's like the Black national anthem is
Yeah.
what we refer to it as. It's not the Black national anthem, but it is referred to. And so, growing up in church, my dad's a minister, and my mom's and sister are musicians, and so I'm very familiar. I'd hear it every week, if not more regularly than that. So it's a part of who I am. It's a part of my history. It's a part those words. Like if you really, really listen to the words and digest the meaning behind what is written, and then you put those words in the lyrics, what it meant then, but it's no different now. It's still the same suffering and same thing, but it gives us an outlook. It gives us hope. It provides, in my estimation, an opportunity, like I said, to reflect. But more importantly, it provides hope for us to get better and do better for each other, if not anything else.
It's a good message to end on. I think it's a really good message to end on. Next up, you got Hawaii on Friday and Saturday. As of now, we'll see how that goes. For everybody that's listening, watching, dtaylorcoachesshow@gmail.com is where you can hit us up, ask us questions that we will read on the next show. So he's the coach of Cal State Fullerton, Dedrique Taylor. I'm Brandon Marcus. Until next time, we'll talk to everybody.
Thank you.